Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of the Oh No 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 podcast, where tonight we'll be looking ahead to Saturday's league match against Ayr United. It's a battle of the two undefeated teams, both teams sitting in the playoff positions on 4 points. I'm your host this evening, Robbie Weir, and delighted to be joined as ever, firstly by Blair Hopcroft. How are you getting on, Blair?
Yeah, very well, mate. I'm actually just back in. I've been down at the Macmillan Club, putting up all the strips and stuff on the wall before the return on Saturday. So, and I'd like to confirm there is a photo. I'm going to share it on social media. There is a blue stripe in the carpet. I'm not having anybody saying otherwise. There is a blue stripe in the carpet.
I did see some Dunfermline fans relishing that, but we're going to put the photo evidence up, as you say, Blair. We'll make sure that that's nice and clear. Don't want any doubt over that whatsoever. Also got returning figure of Ian Latto. How are you getting on, Ian?
Very well, mate. Other than I played golf after work today and stung my leg on a jaggy nettle for the first time since I was about 7 years old. Really sore. Don't recommend that. Other than that, grand.
That's an oddly specific line of complaint. I did not expect you to take that direction there, but yeah, fair play. And also, Greig Brown, we've got returning to. How are you getting on, Greig?
Aye, grand, thanks. It's been a long old summer. It feels like an age since I was last on, so aye, glad to be here.
Yeah, I think we got you on just sort of the midsummer episode that we were doing. I think we'd had a few bodies in the door, but obviously quite a lot changed since that point in terms of the squad makeup and where we're at. So yeah, before we delve into Saturday's game against Ayr United, I'm going to start with the sort of additional points just that we've got coming up for the game. So firstly, there is a food bank collection that's going to be run by, I believe, the sort of community foundation and daughter sort of flagging that. So yeah, it's going to be this month. It's going to be for drinks, i.e. coffee, tea and hot chocolate, not half a can of dragon soup that's been found the back of the sofa after you've had an empty on a Friday night. And also, secondly, Stephen Watt is doing a fundraiser for Bowel Cancer UK. It's done really well with the start of that. It seems to have raised a good few £100. So yeah, we'll put a link in for that as well, just so that people are aware of it. I know I put it up on Twitter yesterday, but obviously we want to encourage people the opportunity to donate into that and to give them that chance there. But yeah, Ayr United on the rise and on Saturday. Blair, I'll just start with you. Gary Naysmith takes over in the summer. An unbeaten start to the league campaign, though they did get beaten by Kelly in the League Cup last Friday in a sort of ding-dong battle. What have you made of Gary Naysmith's tenure so far and just the start that Ayr have had?
Yeah, it's been a pretty positive start, to be fair. There was a lot of chat kind of at the beginning of the season about, like, obviously we've got the prediction thing and the league table and stuff, and where you think teams are going to land and stuff. And a lot of folk, obviously tipping the Pars, there's a lot of money going in, and tipping Livingston because they've got the parachute payments and all that kind of nonsense. Partick have signed really well. And a lot of folk were talking about Ayr. And I have to be honest, I was unconvinced, completely unconvinced. They've lost some really kind of experienced players, and well, two of them have signed for us, to be fair, but they've lost a fair bit of experience at that team. And then the change of manager, Naysmith, like, he's done a good job at Steny, but it's a big ask to step up to the championship and kind of hit the ground running. But I mean, fair play. Like, you can't really argue with the start of the season that he's had. He's got them kind of ticking. They don't really seem to have signed anybody that kind of stand out-ish, but he's doing a pretty good job of putting them together for the start of the season. So it's gone from being a game where I wasn't that fussy about it. I'm actually quite looking forward to it. I kind of feel like we're going to be two pretty well-matched teams. So it will be really interesting to see. But like I say, it's a funny one, because if somebody said to you, like, oh, who have Ayr signed this season? I'm not sure I'm picking anybody out as they've went and got him, or they've picked up him, he'll be really good kind of thing. It's just boys.
Yeah, we'll talk about their summer business in a minute. But yeah, I agree with that. I think that, like, with the start of prior to the season, a lot of people, when the predictions were initially getting done, I think a lot of people sort of went early doors for Livingston, Partick and Dunfermline, having spent quite a lot of money in good squads already in place. But then on top of that, I think that for the start of things, because we signed George Oakley and John Robertson, a lot of people put us into that fourth place pretty quickly. And then the more things went on and the more business that you saw done, it felt like a lot of people sort of switched over to Ayr. So I'm keen to see how they did. And yeah, I think you're absolutely right to call it out. It's been a sort of, I feel like, compared to Stenhousemuir, I think majority of people had them bottom of the league before a ball was kicked. And then Queen's Park, again, they've done well in 2026 overall, but still there is that element of like question marks in terms of their squad, and you know that they're going to be sort of sitting mid-table at best, given the sort of limitations there. So I think it's an opportunity really to sort of see us going up against a team that have done pretty well before, and keep to see how things pan out. Just to come to you, Greg, I mean, we're talking about their summer business there. They have paid fees for, I think, 3 players. So they brought in Ross Taylor, who's followed Gary Naysmith from Stenhousemuir. Kieran Shanks came in from Peterhead, and Luke Macbeth came in from Partick Thistle. On top of that, Rhys Lyon joins, having left Queen of the South. And on top of that, you've also got loanees Harry Stone from Hearts, Owen Sturton from Dundee United, and even just today, Thomas Hatton, in terms of him coming in from Celtic on loan. Any sort of standouts for you there in terms of the work that Gary Naysmith's done?
It's not so much standouts. I think what I'm kind of almost quietly impressed by is I think Naysmith's done his homework on who he's brought in, and I think he knows the kind of squad that he wants to have. He knows, by the looks of it, the sort of football he wants to play. He obviously knows Taylor really well from his time at Steny. Shanks had a great season last season in League One. So, you know, you're looking at these guys coming up and stepping up, and we see it every now and again that actually players can come up and absolutely equip themselves in the Championship. And I think, listen, time will tell, but those two might actually go on to do really, really well. Bringing in the loan players in particular, I think they're quite astute signings as well. Listen, I know the finished article, loan players rarely are, but I think they will complement the squad really quite well. Macbeth, Macbeth's he's just the sort of guy, like at school he was up the back eating mince for his play piece. Like he is just a clogger of a player. Like, I get the whole romance of they plucked him out the lower leagues, and he was playing at Partick and whatever. But I'm not sure if anybody who's capable of playing a bit of football is on his arse. So a decent squad option, yeah. I'm not convinced he's going to be a linchpin in that team over the course of the season. That said, though, the rest of the squad, they've definitely kind of injected. Quietly impressed with the sort of acumen they put together there.
Yeah, I mean, even the game against Kilmarnock, I'm just going to go and pull up the squad that they had out against there. I mean, Iain, you've obviously sort of spoken at great length about Luke Macbeth before. Were you quite surprised by seeing that move that Gary Naysmith's gone out his way to sort of bring him in from Partick Thistle?
I'm not overly surprised. I don't think Macbeth's a player that's going to be, good enough to nail down a place in a team that's going to challenge for the Premiership. And I think that's why Thistle have dispensed of his services over the summer. I think he's one of these. He fails. I'm afraid that he fails my tried and tested method of does he kick it funny? And I'm sorry to say that he does kick it funny, and that's why I can't get behind him. He obviously plays at centre half, and he can play in the middle of the park. I hope he plays in the middle of the park against us, because for all his faults, of which there are many, he can header the ball the way he's facing, and he's pretty good at it. So, I don't think we're going to get much change out of him or Kevin Holt at centre half. If we're going to kick it long, I don't imagine we're going to get much against him. But if he plays in the middle of the park, I think we've got certainly the three that I would choose. I think Telfer's got the quickness of thought and the variance of passing to get it away from him before he's going to close him down. I think Adamson, it's been well mentioned that Adamson loves a battle in the middle of the park. I'm sure he'd relish that, going up against somebody that's 1.5 times his size and weight. And Montague, I think's got the guile and the pace and the legs to get round him. So hopefully, if he is going to play, he's going to play at centre mid, and I think we can take advantage of that. Having said all that, congratulations, Luke, on your brace of goals and your man of the match performance on Saturday.
I was going to say, he's got a 45-yard pile driver in his locker as well. Like,
well, it wouldn't be the first time.
And for a penny, mate. Let's go for it.
It's not the first time that we've been clipped up by Ayr United fans.
No, but the last.
It'll be the last. But yeah, as you say. One bit of business, Blair, that did seem to catch the eye was the retention of Leon King, who seemed to go through a bit of a transfer saga in the summer, in the sense that he was linked to clubs down south, and there was a bit of speculation about Hearts as well potentially being interested, and then just nothing came to pass with it, and then the next thing you know, he's back at Ayr. I mean, for you, is that more... how much faith do you put in the tabloids in terms of that? Do you think, is it maybe just a bit overhype from the agent, and then it's
I was going to say, I think the one thing we've learned over the summer is that Leon King's agent is busy, very, very busy. Nah, I'm not having any of that, to be fair. I'm not convinced that a team that's narrowly lost out in the Premier League and is, challenging to go into the Champions League and stuff, although to be fair, they're fighting to stay in the conference at this point. But a team like that's not looking at... they're not looking at Leon King. They are now. Like, and the idea that there's teams down south that are chapping at the door to try and get him through the door, I just think it's agent talk. I really do. When you finish a season on loan at Ayr United and you spend the whole summer itching for a move and didn't get it, and then sign at Ayr United, there's no raft of clubs knocking at your door. There just isn't. I think he's a decent defender at this level. I think he's the kind of Championship centre half for me have kind of evolved over the last, I don't even know, like maybe 6 or 7 years. Like the Luke Macbeths were the kind of the standard, like big, strapping, solid, beat the crap out of you, header everything the way they're facing kind of boys. Although I'm slightly in the other camp on him. I do think he's got a wee bit about him, but I know I'm in the minority on that. But I think Leon King's a bit different. He's a bit more mobile. He's that kind of newer kind of breed of centre half. He's come through at Rangers as well, so he'll play the ball out for the back, and he'll be comfortable with the ball at his feet and all of these kind of things. But again, it's just, I think Greig's quite right. I think the business they've done is quite astute, but it's a funny one because I genuinely don't think any of it really stands out. Like when Leon King is arguably your marquee signing for the summer, like it's an odd window for them. That said, the best teams in this league are always better than the sum of their parts. It's a wee bit reminiscent for me of that season under Murray. Actually, we were bringing in Dylan Easton and bringing in Scott Brown and boys that kind of most teams would have looked at and went, really? Not really sure about that, but you gel them together and you get them to play well, and you can turn it into something. It'll just be interesting to see how long that lasts for Naysmith, because you always get that little bounce at the beginning, and it's whether he can kind of keep that going and whether he can kind of keep driving forward. But I'm not awfully worried about Leon King, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, Naysmith's a funny one in the sense that he's been at this level before with Queen of the South and he didn't exactly tear anything up. Like, he was in charge of Queens when they had Stephen Dobbie and Lyndon Dykes and they beat us in the playoff finals. Yet he seems to have, he's moved on and he's went to where, I think he went to Edinburgh City, and then he had a spell, was at Stirling after. And then he went
East Fife as well for a while.
Yeah, he was at East Fife and he won a league there, and then he went to Stenhousemuir, and obviously he's done a tremendous job with Stenhousemuir to pull them up through the divisions. Built a really strong core group, got like Absolutely. a good sort of mentality across the club, and I think everyone's really spoken about that and try to translate that into Ayr. How that comes across, I'll be quite keen to see over the course of the season, because I think it'll be an interesting sort of litmus test as to where we're at. I mean, Greig, for you would imagine that we're probably similar budget to Ayr, similar sort of level in terms of standard and expectations. Do you think this is like an opportunity in terms of potentially one of the teams to sort of really stake a claim?
Yeah, but mainly for the point of view that specifically it's at Starks Park. So I think you've got to be looking to win your home games. If we have any realistic aspirations of a top four finish, with the greatest respect to Ayr, they are the sort of team we've got to be looking to beat. Regarding the budgets, I just think it's really difficult to call now. These days, there's so many teams as well that the budget's not as binary as, you know, investment in the playing squad. So it's that whole thing of if Ayr have any sort of I don't want to say benefactor, but any investment in the infrastructure, you know, that's money they're not having to spend from central funds, which inevitably allows them to spend a wee bit more on the playing squad. So it's kind of from one pot into another. Listen, we could split hairs on the budget aspect of it. I think stature-wise, yeah, we probably are a similar standing to them. But just going back to my point, I think it's a home game. It's a team that's still gelling very much in process under Naysmith. I think we've got to be looking at 3 points on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it would be a really big statement of intent if we went out there and we were to beat them, especially to inflict the first defeat for them in terms of a league campaign. And you know, historically for me, like teams, like you look at the teams that end up in the playoffs, and generally speaking, it tends to end up sorted pretty quickly as to like 3 out of the 4. And there's maybe sort of a bit of a race in terms of the final spot, but generally speaking, like if you can get in early doors and get yourself a decent points tally, all the pressures on the teams below to sort of overturn, and then you potentially look at managerial changes and things like that. If a team aren't performing as well as they can do, and then all of a sudden they get jumpy and pull the trigger. Yeah, it's keen to see how it pans out, and I think that it should be a good game. I'm looking forward to seeing how we stand up against them and what they do, what we do. So we'll turn our attention in terms of the Rovers now. I suspect this is going to be one of the quicker episodes of this podcast if we're already into the Rovers section already. Iain, just to come back to this. Well, fingers crossed. I'm trying to curse out the commentator myself here. Iain, just mentioned in the press recently that Kyle Turner, he's of course back into full training now. Scott Brown will have had another week under his belt. Dougie Imrie out in the Courier reaffirming that Scott Brown is the captain, that there was no giant conspiracy, that he's not getting shipped off anywhere. And of course, Adamson, very impressive against Queen's Park by all accounts. Do you think we're starting to get into a new problem where we've actually got a dilemma in terms of our choice of our centre midfielders? Is there any in particular that you're sort of standing out for, or do you think it's maybe too early for Kyle Turner in terms of this return to sort of be making a starting claim coming back from injury?
Yeah, I don't think we'll see Turner or Brown start. I think it's probably still a couple of weeks too early, and I'm not actually convinced that Telfer or Brown are in our top 3 central midfielders either. If we're going to play, you know, that 4-2-3-1 that we've been playing, I'm not convinced that they get in the team in our best 11 either. It's great to now be in a position where we've got actual options, like credible options, available to come off the bench. I kind of jotted down what I thought the side might be. You're looking at the bench and you're like, you know, you're not going to be drastically weakening any position almost if you need to make a substitution, which you know, we've been in positions in the not too distant past where that absolutely wasn't the case. So great to have these guys back in the squad and being available. And I'm keen to see how they get on. I hope they come back and they're fighting fit, and I hope they do try and stake a claim for a starting place. But not for me this week, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse. We could have our manager talking about forfeits in the press. Love Ian Murray to bits, but it's...
See, just on that, I don't know how I feel about Imrie, like, directly addressing whether, like, who's the captain or who's not the captain. I get that, like, you know, he's been asked that as part of an interview and stuff, but it just feels like a little bit
reactionary.
Reactionary, yeah. Like, does he really have to be answering that question? Like, there's been no announcement that Scott Brown wasn't the captain.
Yeah.
Like, why would we have to come up with like a specific answer for a question that I don't know? I just felt a bit tin pot.
Has it all stemmed for the fact that he didn't get the armband? I never even noticed. He didn't get the armband when he came on against
where it's come from.
So basically, what happened, I think, is that people picked up on it last Saturday, and sort of there's been a lot of people have commented about Scott Brown during the summer online, and there's been a lot of people that have frankly just made stuff up to sort of say Scott Brown's away to Morton, Now, that has clearly not been the case, because Morton, they've got, I mean, maybe before they knew that Dalrada just weren't going to, their checks were bouncing. But a lot of people sort of jumped into this sort of mindset of, well, I've heard because someone said that he's away. And that's him getting stripped of the captaincy, or oh no, I've heard there's been a big. You know what it's like? It goes round the houses very quickly. And,
do you know? It's just a respect thing. I mean, he's come on the park off the bench, and Paul Hanlon's wearing the armband. He's not going to go up to Paul Hanlon and go, "Give me the armband, then, please." Like,
even then, it's just
it's a nothing.
Dougie Imrie's explanation was just that they forgot, which is completely. It's like that can happen in life. Like, it's just. I think that. I suspect that what happens is that when you have a journalist that's going through, and again, of course, I'm sure that they go through the similar process of looking at things on social media or looking at Pine Bovril and things like that, and they see it and they say, actually, is there anything there? Or maybe whatever the club, I don't think the club even want to look and address it in the first place. Either way, I think that just straight away, it's just quite easy to shut down and just move on from it. And I really do hope that Scott Brown, just that he gets a run where the sort of calf injury is behind him, because he has been a really good servant to the club in the time that he's been here, and he's got a screamer of a goal in him. He's got plenty of man of the match performances behind him, so just hopefully that we can get him back to his best.
On Scott Brown as well, do you not think that reports of his demise have been greatly exaggerated as well? I feel like it's been a bit of bandwagoning as well. Like, just one person's been like, "Oh, he's been murdered," and then another person's jumped on it, and then suddenly that's kind of become like the gospel truth that he's been like, he's had like a really bad run of games. For me, like, I don't think I've noticed like a drastic drop off from Scott Brown at any point.
No, he's become the kind of antithesis of that cliche of like the longer somebody's out the team, the better they get. It just seems to be that actually these injuries he's picking up, folk are all of a sudden, and like you say, it's like a bandwagon from social media, Pine Bovril, whatever. All of a sudden it's just like, he's not as good as he was the season last and the season before that. And I'm not sure there is a body of evidence that there's been a drop off in his performances, but it feels bizarre because you take somebody like a different circumstances. If you take somebody like Lewis Gibson, for example, not getting a game under 3 different managers, and everyone's going, "Oh, come on, there must be something. There must get him in the team." And yet Brown, who's consistently posted decent performances, he's grabbed the team by the bootstraps and hauled them through games at times. For whatever reason, that's become wouldn't it be gutted to see him go? Maybe Morton's maybe his level. I'm not really seeing that.
No.
I mean, it's a funny one. I thought when he first came in, I remember kind of banging the drum about, like, I thought he was really good and almost fighting it. Like, there was loads of folk were, I'm not sure. He kind of carried that, came from League One, came from part-time football thing. For me, a wee bit longer than he deserved. Like,
people still hold it against him. Like,
totally,
100%.
It was really clear when he first came in. Like, the boy can play. Like, he can put himself about. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's not. I mean, he's not the best midfielder in the Championship, or like, you're not going there. He's a solid kind of option that, and I think for me, I think you're right, the bandwagon thing, but also he was totally victim of the fact that we basically had 3 or 4 midfielders who all did the same job last season, and he was one of them. And now for me, he's probably the only one we've got that does what he does. Like, and actually, he's now got a role to play. I do agree. I don't with what Ian's saying. I don't think he's in our best 11, so I don't think he'll be starting every week necessarily. But there will be games, and to be fair, I think had this game come a couple of weeks later with a bit more fitness behind him, this is the kind of game I could see you going, actually, we could do a bit of fight in the middle of the park. If you're going to have a Macbeth, you maybe need somebody in there that can, go in and protect a Telfer or go in and protect an Adamson or whatever. But he's going to have a role to play. Like, it's a horses for courses kind of job.
100%.
Yeah, just keen to see what he looks like when he's come back and gets a bit of game time under his belt, because again, he's obviously not really had the opportunity to this season. But yeah, just looking back, I think even last season in particular, I think it's been a very difficult campaign, that last campaign for him, in the sense that, like, there was that spell where, like, there was a lot of questions asked about the midfield and why this wasn't happening. happening. And then he came out with the comment about, like, we need people to stick together and basically get behind the team, which I think is a fair comment, but also then people immediately go to him and sort of say, well, your performances haven't been up to scratch. And there's sort of that whole, you sign a Peterhead player, you get Peterhead standards that got trotted out, which was absolute nonsense given that he's been here for a couple of years. But there's still so many redeeming qualities about his game that you do want to see him back in, and I think that over the piece he could be a really big asset, and I think that's for all the reasons that you've kind of mentioned there, like just in the sense that like he's the only type of player that we've got that's like that now, so he's going to be in a very distinct role, so keen to see how he gets utilised. So just to come back to yourself there, Blair, Dylan Easton, obviously you went to the game against Queen's Park, sat out for most of the game, but is this potentially one that you maybe bring him back in for right from the start? Because I mean, you think back, he does have a good record against Ayr United.
He does. It's a funny one because, yeah, you probably do, but in the sense that I'd pretty much start Dylan Easton every week if it was my choice. But it probably benefits from the fact that it's been that week off as well, because I think had you come straight off the back of the Queen's Park game, the two wingers, I mean, Robertson and oh, it's gone. What was his name? McMullen, thank you. I was like, it's Mick something. The two of them, I thought had really good games. So you would be kind of hard done by, I think, to take one of them out the team. Had it kind of come straight off the back of the Queen's Park and into this. The week off, the week to reset, go again, maybe benefits him. But yeah, like I say, I'd start him every week personally. Like he's a difference for me. He's the player that's got a little bit of magic in his boots.
Yeah, it's funny to look at that week off. Like we've mentioned it a few times now, but see after that Queen's Park game, I was absolutely like itching to see us back in action, like as soon as possible again, just because of the feeling after the game. Like a really hard fought result, we've done really well in Glasgow. Just want to see us carry that on. So it is a bit unfortunate that we couldn't play last weekend. It does give us
on that
time.
Week off thing as well. I was laughing earlier on. It's like, the football's been off for a week, so we've not had any football to get worried about. So we've Pine Bovril and Twitter and everything just seems to have gone tonto about like our staffing, like the office staff and that. Like it's, do you know what I mean? We need to panic about something. What we're going to panic about this week? There's no game. Office staff. That's what we're going to panic about.
Quite right. Aye. It's it's just part of the course. It's but then I engage in it myself, so I can't comment on any of it. Just to come back to you, Greig. I think the last time that you were on the podcast, we sort of spoke about George Oakley, given that he just came in the door, and as he was joined by his fellow ex-Ayr United strike partner, big Anton Dowds. What have you made of Dowds so far? He got off the mark against Queen's Park from the penalty spot. Have you been impressed with his contribution?
Yes. Well, I kind of. I don't want to listen. I don't want to come across as overly negative, and I a lot of what I'm about to talk about, I don't actually think is entirely his fault at all. I think he has quite clearly a set of attributes that we categorically could utilise in the team, and I think he could well be a tidy player for us. He's not fit. He's just really not fully match fit at the minute, and we have not got the options because of injuries elsewhere, Oakley, Vaughan, etc. We're asking him to do a power of work, and he's just not got it in his legs. We're seeing generally in the first hour, probably the Anton Dowds that, you're going, okay, we could get behind this, we're seeing it, and then it just drops off a cliff. And with the greatest of respect, he's shuffling around, like the intent is there, but it's like that whole, like, my legs just aren't doing what my brain's telling them to. I can't quite make those balls. I'm not quite able to make those runs. Great that he got off the mark, and I'm definitely not one of these kind of penalties didn't count individuals, but it was a penalty, so I'll feel a lot more comfortable as and when he's bagged a goal or two from open play. But listen, I think when he came in, I was I was underwhelmed, to be brutally honest. I was underwhelmed when the signing was announced. However, I think he probably is himself of a mindset, and I think he's of a skill set that he's able to take advantage of the fact that these other strikers are injured. And if I do what I'm being asked to do, and I can get a couple of goals before Oakley's back, before Vaughan's back, all he can do is pose the issue and the headache to Imrie that, well, you can't drop me if I'm scoring. And that's fundamentally all we can ask from him. I think he's a handful. He makes it difficult for defenders, and I'm just hoping that week by week we start to see that match fitness kind of creep in. I'm really hoping with the break and having the training that he's a wee bit sharper still, because I do think there's a player there. I just really hope we get to see it, but I'm still very much PTSD from Jack Hamilton, so
you must have fucking hated that Queen's Park game then.
I just need a bit more mobility from my forwards, so a wee bit more match fitness, and I think he'll be grand.
Yeah,
the concerning thing, sorry, Robbie, the concerning thing with me with Dowds a wee bit is that, like, I know everybody talks about his big injury and stuff, but his big injury wasn't last season. He played like a kick off the arse of 40 games last season, and then he's had his pre-season the same as everybody else, a wee bit longer, but he's also been in the PFA pre-season. So, like, I think he looks heavy. Like, and I'm seeing the same things as you, where he's blown at his arse after an hour. But I'm a wee bit concerned as to why, because, like, it's not as if he's just come back at the end of last season from his 9 months out. Like, he's had that kind of big body of games over the course of a whole season. And it's a wee bit worrying. That being said, I don't think we've remotely fed him yet, given him the, like, you know, played to his strengths. We've not got balls across the front. I don't think we've given him much shooting chances in the games that he's played so far. If I think Anton Dowd's against us, I think him of being an absolute pest. Layoffs at the edge of the box, getting on the end of crosses. I don't think we've really done that yet. And I wonder if it's been, like, if you've got Easton on one side and McMullen on the other, both of them are trying to shoot.
Yeah, same with John Robertson as well.
Yeah, Robertson's what I meant. Sorry. I meant Robertson, not McMullen. But, like, they're both trying to shoot in the first instance, and then if they can't, try and get across in it in the second. And I just wonder if we maybe need a wee tweak to that if Dowds is going to be our main man, and we need to look to feed him, because I think he's got goals in him. And not even I think he's got goals in him. I know he's got goals in him. I've seen him in the Championship score against us for a lot of years. So, you know, I think we need to play his strengths, but also I think he needs to get himself fit.
See, I wonder if going into this might be one where Dougie Imrie sort of adapts it. Like, I'm probably completely off the mark here, but if you think John Robertson, like, generally he's came in off the wing when he's been playing, and he's done that for the last few seasons. But if you start with Dowds up top, McMullen's in a really good sort of vein of form by his standards in terms of compared to what we saw last season. He started this season really well, got a goal, got off the mark, did well against Queen's Park. And then you've got Dylan Easton. Again, we all know what Dylan Easton can do, and again, he's not necessarily hit that level this season, but we know it is there. Like, it's never going to be too far away. If you have John Robertson coming off the bench, maybe as a number 9, to add that pace at the end of a game, could that potentially benefit Anton Dowds in the sense that it knows that he's going to get 60 minutes, that he can do the damage, and then Robertson can come in at the end of it? Again, sheer speculation on my part. Probably way off the mark from what Dougie Imrie is going to do. But yeah, when we do get those options back, I think that's going to overall just help the squad in the sense that, like, Oakley and Vaughan aren't, by all accounts, too far away, like a few weeks from the sounds of things, which, I mean, it's not ideal, but by the same sort of mindset, when they do get back, it's going to offer a lot more depth in terms of what we can do and where we can go with things. So, keen to see how that pans out. Just going into this one, though, Iain, to move to the other end of the pitch, the back four, we started the 2 centre-backs against Queen's Park. We have used sort of more pacier players at the back in terms of the game against Stenhousemuir. Is that something that you can see changing, or do you think that we should just expect to see the centre-backs for as long as they're fit? Okay, based on what we know.
Yeah, I think for me, if Fordyce and Hanlon are fit, I think they play. I kind of jotted down the team before, and I've got Millen, on one side, Stevenson on the other. And as I was writing it, I thought, fucking hell, there's not a lot of pace in there. Like, so as I'm saying it, like, you know, I had Rowe down initially and I scored it out and put Millen in. I know Millen missed the last game. But Ross Taylor especially is electric quick for Ayr. So I'm a wee bit concerned, possibly that, you know, his pace could easily expose us. Has he been playing? Do you know if Taylor's been playing wide or if he's been playing through the middle? I saw his goal for Ayr, and it very much came from like a central position. He kind of got the ball laid back to him and jinked past the player. But regardless of where he's going to play, you know, his pace will be a really dangerous attribute. So Fordyce and Hanlon for me are our best two centre halves, regardless of, you know, Rowe saying that he can play there and if Delaney being able to fill in there as well. Do you know? Funny you should mention when Duncan and I had done the post match for Kilmarnock after Auchinleck, I said that I was concerned that the way that Dougie Imrie had kind of been quite coy on, you know, Rowe's done really well in there. He played the last game of the season last year and he can fill in there. And then since that, Rowe's come out and given like a, don't know if you knew this, but I've actually played there a lot of times, and I thought, this is fucking choreographed the way you are doing this. Like, everyone's been crying out for, you know, let's go and get another centre half, and we need to get another centre half, and then Rovers are just slowly drip feeding in. Like, by the way, he can play there. So,
I've just got.
Do we need another centre half? Yes, I think we do. Will we get one? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't see it.
I don't know how up to date you are with your 1980s movies references. I think it was 1980s movies references, but they live just with Rowdy Roddy Piper and the sunglasses, and he sees subliminal messages that are up on the billboards. I'm thinking that you go past that big billboard outside Starks Park and it just says J Rowe centre back anytime you put sunglasses on. That's all you're getting.
Quickly.
But yeah, just to round this off on the Rovers chat, just a wider one. I'll start off with yourself, Blair. There's been no mention of any incomings in the press. Has that been any sort of surprise for you? Is that something you would want to see change? Or are you quite okay with it at the moment, given the returning players coming back from injury sort of on the horizon?
I mean, I'm pretty sure you could ask any Rovers fan any week of any season, would you like to see an incoming signing? And the answer will always be yes. I'm not convinced we're desperate at the moment. I do think we're a couple of injuries away from a crisis at any point, all across the team. But I think, like, that subliminal messaging thing and about J Rowe, I think it is deliberate. Personally, I agree with you. I think he is trying to get the message out there. But I think it's not J Rowe is one of my first choice centre halves. I think it is very much a, if needs be, I have a boy here who can play centre half and is competent enough. I think the only thing that would change that for Imrie is if he was to get, you know, if Hanlon or Fordyce, I mean, touch wood, but if we were to, you know, rupture an ACL or something and then they were out for the season, yeah, you're looking at getting another centre half. But if you get one of the two of them pulling up with something for a week or two, I think what he's basically saying is I'm not going to spend my budget on something that I've got cover for in the short term. And I don't think it's what anybody necessarily wants, but it's squad management and it's budget management, which is what kind of Dougie Imrie's made a career of, is kind of getting the most out of the money that he's got. I do think, I agree with what Iain's saying about lack of pace, but I think we sometimes forget Lewis Stevenson might be one of the oldest players on the pitch, but he ain't slow. Like, there is definite pace on that left-hand side there. And for me, I always think Hanlon's a really funny one. Hanlon's not quick by any stretch of the imagination, but he reads the game so well that he very rarely gets himself in a position where he needs the pace to get out of that trouble. I agree the right-hand side is probably where that lack of pace becomes most evident with Ross Millen. He's the better of the two defenders, but he's definitely not as quick as what J Rowe is. But I agree, actually, that would be my starting back four, would be the we're going to have to come up with a name for them. It feels like a man band.
Old gal.
Yeah, like, do you know what I mean? It's like Manzone or something. Like, we're getting the band back together. But I do think that's like the consistency that we need to have at the back. I do kind of feel like they're your four most consistent. That said, I don't think that's how Dougie Imrie will do things. I think we're going to see quite a lot of Zach Delaney this year. I think he's going to feature quite heavily. He's a bit more mobile. He's a bit more kind of versatile. I think he serves a purpose for what Imrie's wanting to do. So I can see changes kind of coming and going, but not massively worried about lack of signings at the moment, mainly because I don't think, unless there's a really fit, functioning, ready to go striker available that's willing to come in for 12 weeks until we get the other ones back, I don't really think there's anything that you look at and go, right, we're struggling on Saturday because we don't have X, Y, or Z. Other than, as Greig says, there's just no cover. There's no cover at all up front. I mentioned it in the post-match for the Queen's Park game, and it is just that thing of, in an ideal world, you would be playing Anton Dowds for 60 minutes or 70 minutes, and you'd be bringing him off. Or the next week, you'd be bringing him on for 20 minutes, half an hour, or whatever. He's playing 90 minutes, and he's playing 90 minutes on Saturday. That's almost a given at this point.
Absolutely.
He's playing 90 minutes. And it's not ideal. But that side, it's a short-term thing. So, I don't know, like, it's a small squad, but I still feel I'm possibly in the minority again in this, in the Rovers camp, but I think he's put together a relatively good squad. I think it's pretty well balanced, actually, across the piece.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even the players that have been a bit sort of on the fence about, in terms of Ross Milne coming back, even Zach Delaney, like, they've performed like admirably well so far. Like, there's not any criticisms to be really made.
No, you can't complain.
And yeah, just want to see how it works over time and how we do go. I think the both of you are absolutely right to sort of say that, like, it'll be an adaptable situation. Like, if a player does get injured, I think there's a high likelihood that, like, we will see someone else coming in, particularly at centre back. But also, by the same token, I think that we'll probably be quite happy just to run with it as long as we can, because it's not like we're outside the transfer window or loan deals can't be run at the moment, and things can crop up pretty quickly. Clubs bring in a couple of players and then a player gets shunted down the pecking order. It just changes the whole complexion quite quickly. So, yeah, just time will tell with it. Any final thoughts going into this game? Greg,
Does anybody want to play the how many weeks away is Lewis Vaughan now tombola?
3 or 4.
This is my worry that we're back into, and Murray used to get criticised for it, but and listen, I get managers are always going to be coy about medium to long term injuries because you've got to manage expectations across the board. But I think Vaughan and Oakley are probably both further away than we're probably being led to believe for whatever reason that might be. And I suppose my bigger concern about the squad and the balance is what, see, on paper, I have every confidence that the squad we've got is, certainly good enough to be competing in the top 4. I genuinely don't have a worry. Where my concern comes in is that that's based on all these players being fit every week of the season, and it's just not going to happen. And we've talked about, and rightly so, Imrie's faced a bit of stick for his management of Vaughan so far this season, and the fact that, on the face of it, it would appear you're just asking him to play the minutes that he's physically not capable of playing. Now, I'm not for a minute saying that the other injuries are in any way, shape or form Imrie's fault, but squad management works various ways, because you've also then got to look at Imrie's, okay, he will be hamstrung by the budget to an extent, but Imrie's saying he's more than comfortable with the smaller squad, and that's fine. But if Dowds picks up an injury at the minute, we're cooked. If we're playing, I'm a bit of a zealot in that, my kingdom for centre half's playing at centre half. I get it. Rowe can play there, Delaney can play there, but if Hanlon or Fordyce again were to get a more serious injury, I'm fine with it being a game or two. 3 months, 4 months of Rowe playing centre half.
You'd have to.
And therefore that's squad management, because ultimately you've built the squad that you're happy with on paper. I just think, and listen, it's not unique to the Rovers. There's been loads of clubs like this, but we're gambling a wee bit with a smaller squad and everybody staying fit. And if I just think, okay, we're well stocked in midfield, but in defence and attack, we're really not that far away from being really light on the ground, and that does worry me, particularly if there isn't the budget to bring in loan players even at short notice.
I can only assume that if the budget is tight, are we wanting to bring in a centre half who's not going to play every week to sit on the bench whilst we play two other centre halves? I would like to think that the situation is that we've got a short-term solution, well, not a short-term solution, but a kind of medium-term solution lined up that we can implement almost immediately. Like, we're not needing him now, but if we do have an injury, can he be available at short notice? Sorry. I don't want to sign a sub centre half to sit on the bench to take the budget that could be spent elsewhere as and when it's required.
Totally. But going back to like last season, Darrell O'Connor was in that position. He was a waste of a wage until we needed him. And listen, Darrell O'Connor probably did stretch a budget coming in from York, and it's also the age-old thing of like, yeah, we want a centre half. We're not the only team looking for centre halves. Yeah, we'd like another striker. We're not the only team looking for a striker. So you're kind of you're caught between a rock and a hard place, and I do sympathise with Imrie in that respect. I think like you said already, I think we've got decent versatility in the team. I just hope we're fortunate enough to avoid the brunt of serious injuries once the season really gets going.
I do there's a wee bit of me does wonder if he is still on the look for a centre half, but on loan. Like that's where your value comes in, because you're right. You end up with Darrell O'Connor, or you sign a boy and you end up with Dylan Corr, and it's like, do you know what I mean? It's pretty much one or the other. You're either basically spending not a huge wage, but you're spending a wage for a boy to sit on the bench who, if the other two do stay fit, and let's not forget, their track record of staying fit, well, to be fair, Hanlon's track record of staying fit is pretty good. Fordyce, I think he's been really unlucky though. Like he's never, do you know what I mean? He's not had like he's no Scott Brown. He's not got a recurring calf issue or a recurring knee injury like what Vonnie's had.
So I mean, he smashes into one of the advertising hoardings.
He smashed into an advertising board, and he got some weird norovirus or something the season before. Like it's been really unlucky. But I just kind of feel like if they two stay fit, you'd be wasting money, because there's no way that you're going to put another centre half in ahead of them. And it's like we're saying, if you can cover it for 2 or 3 weeks, maybe that's enough time to just bring in a loan signing. Do you know what I mean? And it actually just covers him in the short term where he needs it. But you're right though, like it is a small squad, and it does rely on everybody staying fit. But stranger things have happened.
It's, the loan market's a funny one as well in this half of the season, because like if you do get a longer term loanee, you might even get to January and you get a Conor O'Riordan situation where it's like, actually, we quite look at this guy, he's done really well for you, let's bring him back. Totally. So it's a fine balance there, but you can I think everyone can sort of see what Dougie Imrie's trying to do in terms of the objective, but I think it's like we can all see where it would fall down and the criticisms that he'll get if anything does go wrong. It's just about that balance. But it's
also the Championship as well it's quite an attractive league for the teams down south with the young centre half. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a big physical league with big full grown men playing in it. Like so the idea of blooding a young centre half and sending them up to Scotland for 6 months or whatever, I think is a relatively attractive option. So I'm not convinced we would massively struggle to find somebody. Maybe not.
Right, well, that'll round us off for the pre-match coverage. I have prepared a should McStair, should Dargo. I can already see Iain. The despair in
If you don't lead with an era clue, I'm just switching the camera off.
Okay.
But we're getting away with that.
So clue number 1. Players I have played alongside include Adam Ida, Declan McDade, Ethan Varian, Matty Shields, and Will Ferry.
I thought you were going to say Will Ferrell. Right, go and start that list again, Robbie. Sorry, Ethan Varian is the only one I've written down.
Adam Ida, Declan McDade, Ethan Varian, Matty Shields, and Will Ferry.
Sounds like Ireland to me then.
Paul McMullen.
Adam Ida. Who the hell is Adam Ida?
Played up front for Celtic.
His team of
last year.
Celtic and then went to, was it Norwich or came for Norwich or something like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Like absolutely bags of money they chucked at him, and I think he was pish.
11 million or something.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've been on a podcast with this. It's no better than it was back then. So.
I'll go Frankie Masunda since we're playing Ayr.
Robbie does like that, you're right.
He does. But then he also knows that I know that he likes it, so he likes to not do it.
Aidan Connolly. It's not got. It can't be him, but
Clue number 2. I played 49 games and scored 1 goal, according to Wikipedia.
That could be Frankie Masunda. No, he got a double in one game, didn't he?
Couple. How many games McMullen
Dundee.
played?
I don't think he'll have 49.
Many as 49.
He was out half the season.
he'll not have 49.
Is that including friendlies?
Of course not.
Aye, works for some.
It's no John Weir here.
49 games, 1 goal.
Defender. Could be a striker for the Rovers, let's be honest.
For us, to be fair.
Yes. I wish you hadn't said Ethan Varian in the last one, because I definitely would have guessed Ethan Varian here.
I feel like, for me, that list of players that you read out at the start, Ethan Varian's the only one that's played for us. So the person has not played in that team with Ethan Varian at Raith Rovers, surely. Because why would you pick Ethan Varian? That's the most random name ever to pick. So it's got to be somebody that's played elsewhere.
Where did we get Varian from?
Varian, was he...
Does he know like a youth
Stoke.
player? Aye, it's like
Stoke.
It was Stoke, you're right.
Stoke.
And I'm going to add a
wondering if
caveat
it's-
to this. He played with Varian domestically, and it was not at Rovers.
But it's not, so it's. I was just about to say, I'm wondering if it's an Irish international, because Ethan Varian must have had, coming through at Stoke, he must have had youth caps.
I think he did, but...
But when you say domestically, you are meaning at club level?
Yeah, he played at club level with Ethan Varian.
Where did Varian go after us? Bohemians?
Can I guess Jordan Thompson?
You
Oh,
can
aye,
indeed.
that's a good shout.
Yes, Jordan Thompson. Any further bids?
That is a good shout.
Yeah.
Definitely scored 1 goal up at Dundee United. It's an absolute banger. 49 games though.
A
He's
lot.
only here for 1 season.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. Even with the playoffs.
But realistically, how much longer than 1 season is 49 games going to be? Given that if you're staying through the summer, you're going to have to stay, to the end of August, and then if you stay that long,
I
it's into
suppose if you've
January.
got
So,
the League Cup campaign,
yeah.
Challenge Cup. Yeah, maybe not far off. Feels a lot though. Mind you, maybe isn't he nowadays? 49.
No, I need the next clue.
Yeah, same.
Clue number 3. I made my debut at Somerset Park.
There's your air linking, right?
It's Jordan Thompson. I remember the game. He was great. Stood out a mile, took the ball into feet and turned with it, and I was like, I've not seen a midfielder do that in years. And we were at Ayr. I'm almost certain of it.
Any further? I know that was
Nah,
your
you're right.
guess original, Ian.
I'm going to stick.
Stick.
Clue number 4. In 2 seasons at the Rovers,
Oh.
I played for 3 managers.
Was he here 2 seasons? I've done that thing where I'm totally all in on it being him now.
Yeah. No, he definitely wasn't. He came under lock.
Played under Hughes.
He would have had Lock and Hughes.
Yep.
He never came back after that.
I think he
I'm
did.
almost certain he made his debut here, you know. Maybe I've made that up.
It could still be true.
Yeah. I just remember genuinely remember him taking the ball into feet as a midfielder and turning on it. I was like, oh my God, they can do that.
It's novel. Yeah, it's novel. So if you've got 3 managers across the 2 seasons, what are our options here?
It could be much
So
more
it could
recent.
be.
So it could, because could be like across Murray, Collins, and Robson.
Yeah.
Could be. I'm presuming it's. So just for clarification, Robbie, if it was a temporary manager in between, they wouldn't count, or
Yeah, I'm not that
permanent
sadistic.
manager only. So like a Potter.
Jordan Doherty.
I wondered about Jordan Doherty actually.
Jordan
Just that's
Doherty.
where I was going with the international thing.
Because
Where would he have played with them domestically though?
he
Because he was out in
how,
the
long,
States.
how long did he play in America? Yeah.
But before that, was he not down south? Was he not with Neil Collins? Was he not at?
No, he wasn't
No,
with Collins
he-
down
he-
south. It was at Sheffield United down south.
He played with Collins at Tampa, or whatever that team. What was it, Tampa? I
Yeah,
can't mind.
Tampa Bay Rowdies or whatever it was. Aye.
Aye, Mickey Mouse football.
Which randomly, just while we're on it, was that not the T-shirt that Paul McMullen was wearing when he was at the
golf day, aye.
the foot golf thing? It was Tampa Bay Rowdies,
I
wasn't
don't know.
it? Well, it's really weird. Really weird.
Just found that lying about and put it on.
Yeah.
So,
Bizarre.
Any further bids?
Yeah, no, I'm struggling now.
Doherty could be a shot. I don't know where Ethan played, to be fair.
So clue
Other than
5.
Stoke.
My most regular teammate at the Rovers was Dylan Easton.
So it's more current then. So it could
I'm
be.
going to stick with Doherty.
Actually, no. 2 seasons. Doherty wasn't with us for 2 seasons, was he?
18
he
months.
It just says across 2
Yeah.
seasons. It doesn't say 2 full seasons.
That's right.
Well, I'll make it nice and easy for you because clue number 6 is I left in the summer.
Very good.
Yep,
Good
it's
shout,
indeed
mate, well
Jordan
done.
Doherty. So he played with Adam Ida and Will Ferry and Matty Shields, all internationally with Ireland. And Declan McDade and Ethan Varian were both at Bohemians in Ireland
Ah, right.
with
Did he
Jordan
make
Doherty.
Was his debut was it the Challenge Cup game that was it Challenge Cup?
Yeah.
Was Collins' first game?
Barry
No,
Robson's
did
first
he
game.
not?
Robson's.
I was going to say he made the debut in the 4-0
Yeah,
Yeah,
the George Oakley hat trick.
aye.
yeah. Aye, sorry, I
Came off the bench.
Debuts mixed up there. Aye.
No need to apologise, really, but it worked. See, when you said Jordan, Ian, and I was
So
like,
close.
he's fucking got it. And then it was Thompson. And I was like, excellent. That's fine. We can keep that going. But no, that will round us off nicely for this evening. So, thanks guys for jumping in for this evening. We'll be back, of course, with a full post-match debrief, probably on Sunday. But, we will look forward to that. But until then, thanks for taking the time to listen as ever. And bye for now. Or
Don't
Blair's got
forget
his hand
to
up.
get your predictions in, because I'm going to hate to put this on Twitter because I keep forgetting now that I've set it up on this app. It's the Rovers game, obviously, and then I think it's the Pars game that I've put
Yeah.
on. Is it Dunfermline Livingston?
Yeah, Dunfermline Livingston.
Yeah, is the other game. So don't forget to get your predictions in before 3.
I'll need to snip this out on the edit so more people forget. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye for now.